It's day 2 of NFL free agency, and we are live here on Chat Sports. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. Let's get into the latest around Deshaun Watson, Chase, because the rumors have been heating up ever since his criminal charges got dropped. And now we have an update in terms of teams that could be in the mix. He is going to meet with the Atlanta Falcons on Wednesday, who have emerged as a sleeper team. He has already met with Cleveland, New Orleans, and Carolina. The Saints and Panthers he met with on Monday night. Cleveland here on Tuesday. And like I mentioned, Chase was cleared of those criminal charges. So now, Chase, Atlanta emerging as another team. We're up to 4 teams in the mix for Watson. We heard yesterday that he did not want to meet with Seattle. So that is not going to happen. And then the Texans declined the Colts a meeting with Deshaun. So these are the 4 teams to keep in mind as we progress here.
Yeah, and 3 of these teams are in the NFC South. So already there's a bit of rivalry within that division. And now if one of these teams lands Deshaun Watson, that rivalry is going to be escalated. This is pretty interesting from Adam Schefter about the Falcons now being in the mix. He said this on Twitter, that the Falcons have emerged as a sleeper team to acquire Deshaun Watson because he grew up in the Georgia area and was actually a ball boy. So that's how Arthur Blank knows him, was able to develop a relationship with him. So if you take this point of view from Deshaun Watson's side, which team has the better roster? What are the better options offensively in terms of weapons? I would probably lean more so toward the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints, but if the Atlanta Falcons can really blow away the Houston Texans with a trade offer, there's that familiarity that comes into play with Arthur Blank, which could play a role in this as well. Either way, whichever team that gets Deshaun Watson, Harrison, they're getting one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League and a guy who is still in his prime and is going to be in his prime for a long time.
Yeah, and look, this comes down to if teams are comfortable with his legal status, because he still has those civil cases out there. There's still a pretty big belief that the NFL will suspend him at some point. The question is for how long. Would it be a season? Would it be 8 games, 4 games? Who knows? But the interest has been pretty rampant since those criminal charges were dropped. So clearly teams are comfortable with acquiring a guy like Deshaun Watson. And you're absolutely right. At worst, he's a top 10 quarterback. At best, he's top 3 or 4. I mean, we're talking about one of the premier players in the NFL. The last time we saw him, Chase, he threw for almost 5,000 yards and a 33-7 touchdown interception ratio on a bad Houston Texans team. He is a special player, and the trade market for him is hot, and it's going to continue to heat up as we continue to progress. Which team will trade for Deshaun Watson? That is our question for you. Let us know down in the comments section. We'll make this the pinned comment on today's video. So which team is going to trade for Deshaun Watson? Get your votes in, and after the ad, Chase and I will give our predictions. All right, Chase, if you had to guess right now, which team's going to land Deshaun?
I think the Carolina Panthers, for a couple of reasons. I think ever since Matt Rule got there, he's been invested in trying to acquire a quarterback. They go after Teddy Bridgewater. Didn't really work out. He's more of a stopgap option. They made the trade for Sam Darnold, hoping that they could bring the best out of him as a player. That didn't work out. They went after Cam Newton and actually gave him a lot of guaranteed money last year, and that fell apart. So now Matt Rule is feeling the pressure. The heat beneath his seat is starting to get a little bit warmer. He understands that there's pressure on the Carolina Panthers to win right now, but also for David Tepper, former Wall Street guy. He's gone along with Matt Rule in being aggressive as a front office, and he wants to get the Carolina Panthers back on track. And obviously, Watson does have some Carolina ties because he went to Clemson, and they understand that by bringing in Deshaun Watson, it could change the course of their franchise. And for David Tepper, he paid big money to Matt Rule, Harrison, as we know, coming from Baylor. So he wants it to work out. And I think Matt Rule can be a really good coach. They just have to get the quarterback right. And if they do, looking at a pretty good offense. We'll see what happens with Christian McCaffrey if they bring in Deshaun Watson. DJ Moore, really good player. Robbie Anderson as well. Defense has some pieces led by Jeremy Chin. So I'm going to go Carolina.
I think the Atlanta kind of introduction into this is pretty interesting, Chase, because you have Matt Ryan, who isn't what he was, but he's still a top 15 quarterback, I would say, in the NFL. He's still a good player. They just restructured his contract. I think that potential destination is fascinating, because then what happens with Matty Ice? I'm not sure off the top of my head what the trade implications of moving on from Matt Ryan would be. Typically when you restructure a contract like that, trading him creates a massive dead cap hit for the upcoming season. And so if you're Atlanta, you got to factor that in as well. What is Matt Ryan thinking when he sees this on social media? Who knows? The Falcons are interesting because Calvin Ridley's not going to play this year unless that suspension gets reduced. So how interested would Watson actually be there? He's taking a meeting, so he's at least somewhat interested. They've got Kyle Pitts, but I think Atlanta getting in the mix here is pretty fascinating. Again, they're set to meet with Deshaun on Wednesday. By the way, we have an Atlanta Falcons YouTube channel here at Chat Sports. We're literally 83 subs away from 5,000 subscribers.
That quick math from you, man.
Hey, that's what we do.
You are just elite.
Executive producer Jeffrey Cooperstein's been trying to ramp up that channel. Help us get there. Let's get over the edge here at 5,000 subs. Link below. YouTube.com/FalconsTV. And if you want Deshaun Watson, let us know in the comments. Okay, some stuff to circle back to yesterday, Chase, where this kind of really started to circulate when Watson met with the Saints and the Panthers. Aaron Wilson initially reported that those meetings have taken place, of course. And then when we fast forward to today, he met with the Cleveland Browns, but also Josina Anderson had this note as well on Monday, said he's currently meeting with more teams tomorrow. That became Cleveland. Now it's Atlanta as well, kind of going through the timeline of how this is all played out. And then like we mentioned earlier, Chase, Johnny Venerable from John McClain said that Deshaun Watson rejected the Seahawks for a potential meeting there, so he will not be going to Seattle unless something has changed. And then also the Texans declined Indianapolis' attempt to meet with Deshaun Watson. So as we sit right now, Chase, Atlanta, New Orleans, Carolina, and Cleveland are the four teams in the mix for Deshaun Watson. We'll see if more teams emerge, but that's how we sit right now.
Yeah, and who's to say there can't be another sleeper team that enters the fold? Maybe like the Miami Dolphins, a team that was really invested in the idea of trading for Deshaun Watson over the last year and a half. And it's pretty interesting. Obviously, if you're the Indianapolis Colts, you make the call to see if you can trade for Deshaun Watson. You have some really good player capital, some draft capital, but if you're the Houston Texans, there's no way you're going to trade Deshaun Watson within that division and play him twice, especially with the bad blood that exists between him and ownership and that franchise, and the special and elite player that Deshaun Watson is. You can't face him twice a year because you'll be regretting how everything fell apart in the back half of his tenure after it looked to be like it was off to an incredible start. He signed that contract extension. Then after that, once the legal situation started to arise, it was just a disaster for Watson and the Houston Texans.
Yeah, can't be trading him within the division. This is why you subscribe to Chat Sports, because Chase and I are live breaking down everything that is happening during NFL free agency, including Deshaun Watson Trade Watch. So stay tuned for more, subscribe, and turn on your notifications.